So, before I get into the slides, they are important, um, but like part of me is thinking that the assessments are more important right now. So we'll get back into the slides later on. Um, you should get a video recording of the slides anyway, so it's not like you're not going to see them. But um, I'll just do a quick uh, overview of the module. Sorry, um, we're on and what the government said before we look at the assessments. So this is the module that you're in the third week of now. So it's a bit late if this is like new news to you. So use communication to build relationships. This is a core module. You'd be doing this if you're doing a Cert 4 in um, financial development, or if you were doing a Cert 4 in business management, construction, pretty much any Cert 4 that the Australian government wants you to do. You'll be doing this module because if you can't use communication to build relationships, you're not going to be very useful in pretty much any industry. So you might know friends and family in other Cert 4s that done this module, but we've altered it slightly. You all have to learn the same stuff, but we use the assessments for the community services side. So in this, it describes the skills and knowledge to apply specific communication techniques to establish, build, and maintain relationships with clients, colleagues, and other stakeholders based on respect and trust. So there, it's for any industry, whoever you're working with, whichever colleague, whichever client you've got, it's got to be built around respect and trust, and that's almost a standard for working in a shop or working in the construction industry. Everything's going to be built on respect and trust. So this unit applies to work across a range of workplace contexts where workers at all levels may communicate with individuals and or groups both in person and writing. So that is the focus of the module, and that's why the assessments are going to be built like that. Also, because everybody's got to do this module, no matter what course you're doing, it means that it's easier to cruise through it. And some people might not focus on it as much, but the government's going to say it's more important. That's why everybody has to do it. I might say it's not as important because it's not a drug and alcohol module, but depends on the way you look at it, really, I guess. So the learner guide, if you haven't got a learner guide yet, hopefully you have, because this is the last session. If you haven't been able to find it, then I can put it in the chat and send it to you. You should see that you've done all of this over the past few weeks: communication skills, difficult situations, types of meetings. That was tonight or today, depending on where you are. That was meant to be the main part of this week. Pretty much that no matter what industry you're working in, no matter what business you're working for, you can't just write an email and send it from that company. There'll be a format, there'll be a way to write it. Because you're representing the company yourself, you can't just jump on and write an email to a client or another business. There'll be a way to write it. There'll be a format, a template. So just like in that scenario, when you're writing an email from first access in an assessment, it's all got to be a certain format. Equally, when your company that you're working for asks you to run a meeting, it's exactly the same. It can feel a bit daunting that you've been told to run the meeting, but there's a format, there's a process, an agenda, and you should be able to follow just step by step through a meeting, and it's pretty straightforward. So that's what tonight's was meant to be about. But the assessments here. So one assessment you can do on your own anytime. Sorry, I've only focused on the role plays. The quiz, the written questions, you can do them on your own. Yes. There's a case study, I think, or a project that you can do on your own as well. I was only really
Sorry,
yeah,
it's me.
yeah.
Uh,
Hi, Denise.
we did all of that with Carolyn, was it? Yeah. So yeah, she went through all of that. So it was just the
Brilliant.
role plays we were doing tonight. It's been quite different. She does a completely different training way than
Cool.
you. So I think it was good. I think there was a bit of confusion with some people that kind of got into like
That's
major
fine.
conversations. But yeah, we had all done this, and she had worked us right through to hand in all of our written assessments, our case study, and she
Excellent.
worked through our questions with us too.
All good. So if you haven't been here the past couple of weeks, obviously this is getting recorded. If you haven't been here the past 2 weeks, you haven't managed to get all the assessments done yet, look at the other videos that have come out that that you should be able to email Hader and get a recording of any of the other classes if you need them, because there's the questions or the written questions, the quiz. Then the other one was case study or project. That's going to need a bit of research to do that. With this one, didn't want to focus on this one at all because this is a role play you can do in your own time. So that's number 4 of 4. That's the last one. And then the one I wanted to focus on was this one. So the question is, how far have you got with this? This is a group role play. Is anybody ready to do this tonight? Need 4 people for it. Leah? Oh, okay, she didn't record classes. Fair enough. Well, we'll chase everything up that we need to. Leah, what were you going to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do this tonight if someone else can. I kind of ready.
So just a bit of a push. This isn't a complicated one where we've had Glenn or somebody else trying to do something really counselling wise. This is just running a meeting, like maybe in the work, wherever you're working right now, almost, or wherever you last worked, like in the past few months. If you were running a meeting, if you were called in to run a meeting and you had 3 or 4, 3 other people there, that's the type of level that it's on about. You don't have to do this tonight, but you do have to do this assessment. So let's look over it and see if anybody can be ready. So you don't have to do this tonight, but you've got to do it with me and 3 other people. So if we're booking another time, then it's going to come back and not bite you, but it's going to come round again eventually sometime. Yes, Justin.
I just went to access that this module here, and then it's just linked me to the learnings. So do I have to do the learnings and all that before I can access it, or?
Not usually, no.
Oh, wait up. I could be full tripping here. Wait up. Yeah, I could have just accidentally clicked it in learnings. Here we go. Yeah, sorry about that.
Good. So in this task, you will facilitate the first. Oh, sorry. In this task, you will facilitate the first safety and respect team meeting plan for assessment 2 task. Excuse me. So in First Access, the company you're working for, they haven't had a safety and respect team yet. So people can be backbiting and complaining about each other. It's not about health and safety. Whoops. It's not about a health and safety team. It's about a safety and respect team. So I guess it's emotional safety and mental health safety in the workplace. And they haven't had a meeting yet. So the first meeting that's going to be put in place, you've got to chair the meeting. So in part A, you'll be observed participating in a role play to confirm you conform to industry standards and expectations. You'll work in a group to role play the first meeting of the safety and respect team at First Access. In part B, you'll request and receive feedback from each group member. You'll submit your feedback to your assessor as part of the assessment task. So basically, if you chair this meeting in your role play, then you tick off a lot of the slides, and it means that what was the slides were important, but they were to help you run this meeting. In part C, you'll answer some questions to evaluate the effectiveness of your meeting. You'll also reflect on the feedback you received in part B. But tonight, the main role play part, that's what you'll be doing tonight. What happens if you get something wrong? Nothing, you just do it again. So for the purpose of the role play, you will play the role of Justin. You're usually Justin. If you've got a role play to do and you're doing it from First Access, you're quite often playing Justin, and then you've got a supervisor. And so this is your role. We've been given the responsibility of creating the new safety and respect team. There's usually some role-playing notes to read over. No. Okay, well, the First Access Safety and Respect team will be held. Recently, there's been an alleged case of physical abuse of a client by a staff member. This incident has led to management creating the Safety and Respect team. General Manager Llewellyn Fox instructed the creation of this work team with the aim of following goals: educate all staff so they know what constitutes abuse and their legal workplace obligations around reporting abuse, train staff in communication strategies they can use to encourage trust and safety for clients to disclose abuse, create a training plan to share this information with First Access staff. At the end of the role play, you will assess your own participation and give feedback to each member of your group. So, as I said, that's what you have to do in the meeting. The meeting has to be about 10-15 minutes. Let's say 10. Or to pass the assessment, you all have to be Justin. So that means you need 5. So you need you and 4 other people to be in the role play. You can't do the role play with any less than 5. You can't have one person playing 2 people. You've got to have 5 people in the role play. So you're going to have Justin, Raymond, Monica, Dennis, Bella, and you've got to run that. One of these people has been doing something inappropriate, I'm guessing, because there's no other staff in the company that we told about. And that's what you have to do in the meeting. So you will have to do, say, these things in conversation with the others, and you'll have to write kind of a script or guide the others to be talking and replying. So just so that if anybody's new to the role plays, you've got to design that you're Justin and you're leading the meeting and you're talking about the 3 important points that you're writing agenda for, and you hand out the agenda to all the other staff members and say, this is what we're going to be talking about. And then afterwards, you collect the minutes up of what's happened, what's been said. As with any meeting, the agenda comes out beforehand, the minutes come out afterwards, and everybody gets a copy of the minutes to so that they can agree with, yes, that was said. Didn't understand that. I missed the meeting, so I can get the minutes and find out what was said. Excuse me. So that was the scenario. And right, this is to be done afterwards. So the 4 people that the 4 other people that are going to be in the role play with you, they're all going to give you a feedback form to say how well you ran the meeting. That's the thing that they have to do. Not that you didn't run the meeting very well, but because they're in your meeting, they're going to send you a feedback form and say that you ran the meeting very, very well, and they got a lot out of it, and it was very informative to their work in First Access. That's the kind of thing you will say. And then you've got to evaluate your own meeting and say, yeah, a bit scared, didn't really want to run the meeting. Maybe it was done last minute. I was told last minute. Felt a bit strange with my peers there, but I got a lot out of it. It was helpful. It was good that Raymond and Monica and Dennis and Bella were all there supporting me and that kind of thing. So if I split you up into breakout rooms, groups of 5, well, it's not going to be 5, it's going to be a couple of groups of 5 and a group of 4 potentially. You only get an assessed if you're playing Justin. So if you're in a role play, if you're new and you get stuck in a role play, nobody's assessing you unless you're playing Justin there. So do we have a couple of groups of people that will want to do this role play now? That means that Leah's already jumped in there. Okay. That means that maybe last week Caroline was helping you organize a script or structure the meeting or figure out what to say, things like that. All right, just maybe not. Maybe you're just ready anyway. So I'll build some breakout rooms to if you've done any other role plays before, this is going to be easy. So let's put Leah and Em in. I'm guessing that Danita won't because she's not feeling great. Glenn, are you up for it? Yeah, you might not necessarily to get assessed, but just to jump in. All good, Jaden. Justin, Merzet, Danielle, do you want to jump into one? Nikita?
If we could, because I've literally haven't really even looked at this module.
That's all right, no problem.
But if we could maybe as a group or whatever, if people have kind of gone through the First Access kind of things we can cover, if we can all get down.
That's fine. I'll put you in a.
It's easy for all of us to kind of implement what's going on or whatever, or even jot down some notes for ourselves so then we're ready to go. Like, I don't think I don't know how much we're supposed to cover off this site. I've just logged in now, but if it's pretty straightforward and there's only a few points we can whatever, then surely we can all get our notes together and then just start doing them, I guess. But
yeah, because I wasn't here last week and she didn't record it, so I'm
it's been 2 weeks.
To be able to try and do this.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's going to be hard if we're going to try and do it tonight, and I don't have anything.
That's all right. Merzet, are you up for it?
I'll give it a crack, but I feel like I'm going to be behind now.
I wasn't here last week, so I haven't got a clue, but I can.
We'll try. Like Justin said, if it's pretty basic.
Yeah. Can I just jump in there?
Yes,
last week wasn't this wasn't discussed at all. It
Oh.
was just about the quiz and
Okay.
the assessment.
Okay.
I can't find the scenario, but I'm not long did one of these for my work because I work at a AOD place. So I'm quite, as soon as I find the scenario where it is on Accelerate, I'm quite happy to jump in.
There you go. There's the scenario.
I'm willing
there.
to help. I'm willing to help Leo or whoever. So
Cool,
someone can
Nikita.
be assessed tonight.
Yeah, because I want to get
Um,
assessed, but it's like, Jesus, like I don't know.
I did one last week without a script, and it was a lot easier than I thought.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the thing. If
All right,
someone's kind of ready or whatever, and can give you a rough guideline of just like, say, if they're going to play Justin, then it's kind of easy to go, okay, that's what they covered, blah blah blah, and then it's kind of, you can probably emulate it, or even, you know, jot down some notes after and go, okay, they covered this. This should pretty straightforward, because if we're all gonna have to do it, and that's 5 times over, then we should all be able to stay on track just from each other's, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're only getting assessed by the person that's playing Justin, then if we don't get assessed tonight, then how are we going to get another 4 people to try and get assessed again? Does that make
So Justin will be assessed by the other 4 people. So for each role play, you've got Justin there, and then you've got the 4 others, and they give feedback to Justin, which means it'll roll round. You could have a different group of 4 if you're doing a role play another time, like later on. We can
Yeah, but
easily swap it.
when's later on though?
Yeah.
Oh, literally any time.
Yeah, but what do you mean? Like, it says an assessor needs to see you do this. So when's the next time do we get an assessor?
So I can literally have 3 role plays going on at the same time. As an example tonight, I could have 3 role plays going on at the same time, and I can jump in and out of all of them tonight. I'll point you to the scenario in a sec. We'll jump back onto that. There's sorry. There's a few things I needed to do just for random, not housekeeping, but random structure over the next few weeks. So this on screen, this is the new, you can't see it, can't you? Yes, you can. So this is the next module, assess needs of clients with alcohol and other drugs issues. That means that it's not a core module. It's a little bit more complicated than the one you're doing at the moment. When I say complicated, if you're finding it complicated with this module, it's probably just because you're new, because this is one of the standard common modules. So the communication one, it's when you know your way around it, it's pretty straightforward. I don't want to freak you out, but that's the way it is. This one that I'm looking at on the screen, because it's AOD, alcohol and other drugs focused, it is going to be a little bit more complicated. It's going to need a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more research. So this unit describes the skills and knowledge required to prepare for and conduct assessments of alcohol and other drugs clients, to determine eligibility, service requirements, and referral needs. This includes knowledge of factors and affecting assessment for a range of different client groups. So looking at assessments, assess is trying to figure out whether somebody's appropriate for this, the service. Looking at different client groups, like how do you assess young people or old people for a service? How do you assess men and women, or non-men or women, mixed gender or any other gender for the client group? So all the different groups, then cultural groups as well. So we've got loads of different groups doing assessments, all with different referral needs. That's why I'm talking about it being complicated. So from the next 4 weeks, cool. It's good when we get a few weeks to do something, to and spread the module right out. So that's good. So for the next 4 weeks, that's what we're doing. This unit applies to people involved in the assessment of clients with AOD issues using established organisation or jurisdictional AOD assessment tools. That means that every organisation is going to do it slightly different. If you don't do it the way that organisation is doing it, you're going to be in trouble, which is kind of a segue into what I'm wanting to do now. That organisation in New South Wales is going to do it slightly different to a different organisation in Queensland. And comparing them with different industries, if you do an assessment for AOD stuff, slightly different to an assessment in a public service like a hotel or something like that in hospitality, it's going to be a different assessment again. If you do it slightly different to the way the organisation is wanting you to, you're going to be in trouble. So that's why I wanted to jump back to the PowerPoint, because the way one company, the way one organisation facilitates a meeting or communicates is going to be different to another one. So I just wanted to run through some slides on the recording and have an agreed set of standards is what they're talking about. So facilitating meetings is running a meeting. It could be this kind of thing, one person at the front with a flip chart. It could be using PowerPoint. But everybody's going to be expected to have points to consider. You should never be going into a meeting where you don't know what the meeting's about. You're going to be going into a meeting with an agenda, and this is what we want to talk about tonight. Your safety and respect meeting that you're expected to run, if you're calling people into the meeting, you're going to need to tell them, okay, this is why we're calling the meeting. There's been an incident of this. You might not be able to get it all on one piece of paper, but it's just bullet points. So this is what the meeting's going to be about. So that's a video. You can watch that when you want to get rid of that. You can watch that from the slides when you get the recording. But develop an agenda like that. Ask for input. If people know that there's going to be a meeting, then you've got to ask everybody that's concerned whether they've got any input. Like if I'm looking at the screen here, I've got all 12 of us. If M's on the top left, Nikita's on the top right. If M and Nikita never ever want to go to any of the meetings and always find an excuse not to be there, that's fine. But they are allowed to put input into what the meeting's going to be about. If they're part of the organisation, I have to ask every single person whether they've got any input, any points to consider, any discussion points for the meeting. So that when I've asked Em and Nikita, and I know they're not going to be there because they never want to turn up, but they're going to give me their points, and I'm going to put that on the agenda and say that these points were put forward to discuss. So on the agenda, ask for input a few days before the meeting. That's fine. We can do that. Everybody needs to be invited. If you're part of the organisation of this meeting, like the Safety and Respect Committee, then you're going to need to be invited. So you need to pass on your input beforehand. Inform the participants of the details. Excuse me. Communicate details of the meeting in accordance with organisation communication protocols. So again, going back to the way this organisation does it, you have to do it the way your organisation, your company is doing it. The details might go on a notice board. The details might go out in a group email. The details might be handed out on a piece of paper, like hard copy. The way that your organisation does it is the way you have to follow through with that. If your bosses, your management want you to put it on a notice board in the public canteen, and you end up putting it out in an email, then you're going to be in trouble. So designate a chairperson. Even if it's your meeting and you called this meeting, you can pick somebody else to run it, so that you can maybe, if you've got all of the ideas and you've put the agenda together in the company, you might say, actually, can so-and-so do this? Which is why you've been called in to run this safety and respect one. So maybe Monica, I think your boss is Monica. She's seen what the problems are. She's seen that there's some issues going on with one of the clients. So she said, okay, Justin, you're all Justin, you put this meeting. Sorry. Justin, you organize this meeting. You put it together. You get the agenda organized and find out what everybody wants to say. Sorry, Glenn, won't be a sec. I'm trying to breathe and die at the same time. Start team meetings with a team building game or icebreaker. Yeah, maybe not everybody wants to do that, because team building games are not always team building. Sometimes they just irritate everybody and say, look, we're only here for an hour meeting, and why we're doing this stupid game to let's just talk about what we need to talk about, eh? So you have to figure out what kind of a team you've got there. Is it going to be better to build everybody together, or is it better just to say, right, everybody sit down, we're here, this is what we're going to talk about today? Follow the agenda, and that's important. In your assessment, it's implying that the discussion is going to go off course. And if you're Justin, you need to pull the meeting back together and have a level of organization over everybody saying, well, he's talking about this and we need to stick to the agenda. And then what about the canteen facilities, and what about the staff time that we'll finish today? And this meeting looks like it's going to go over now. So Justin has to pull it all back together again and again and again. If you've got 4 good mates in your role play, then they're going to try and stick to the agenda for you. But Justin, it's your point to pull the agenda back together and contribute to and follow objectives and agendas for the meeting. Glenn, what were you going to say?
Are you recording?
I am. What we're talking about.
Am I missing
So sorry, Justin, hold on. Yeah. So with Monica and I've just forgotten the other girl's name. With the 2 people that have done something wrong,
Bella.
They're going to be called. Thank you, Bella. Yeah, thanks, Glenn. See, this is where it's on about the organizational procedures. In First Access, it's their plan that somebody that's done something wrong, it could be the first time they hear about it. Maybe Bella and Monica haven't even been disciplined yet, and now they're going to be going to a meeting where the bosses are going to be saying, okay, and it's reported that somebody's been inappropriate to a client, and they know they're being talked about and mentioned, and the incident that they know all about, and nobody's even discussed it with them yet. So this is the way First Access do it. It might not be the best way, but this is the way they're doing it. And you've been lumped with the idea of running this meeting, and it's going to go off. Things are going to go off. Like, obviously, Bella and Monica are going to be having something to say. But because it's your role play, and it is a role play in the end, let's have it nice. Let's have it fairly calm and not be nasty to Justin, whose role play it is. So it's not a real situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So is it a disciplinary?
No, it's not a discipline. No, it's not.
So then you can't bring up the client that was hurt, because her autonomy has to be protected from other members of the staff, because it's anonymity. So we can't even say names.
But
no,
it's
we
not
can't.
about that.
No, it's
got
not. It's
not
just about
that.
policy and procedure. That's all it's about. Let me just finish these few slides. But like I said,
no, and it's not about the incident.
So we've got to individually in the meeting, in your meeting as well, explore each agenda topic, provide opportunities to fully explore all relevant issues and provide relevant information. So allow enough time for each topic to be explored. Don't squeeze too much into one meeting. So Justin has to be on the ball saying, okay, no, we've finished talking about that now. Sorry, guys, we have to move on. Everybody wants to get home. Get contribution from all members, even the quiet ones that feel like they don't really want to say anything. They just want the meeting to finish. Justin has to speak out for them and say, look, can we get you involved in this? Have you got anything extra to add? Trying not to single people out or put anybody on show, but kind of encouraging people to speak. So this is just random. This is just how you set it up. It's not really about facilitating meetings. It's about just keeping it interesting. Yes, Justin.
I don't know if I'm missing something here, but when does it ever say anything in the case study or anything about Monica?
I'll get back to that in a minute. I'll get back to it in a minute, Justin. Sorry, I might have confused somebody there. So meeting-specific communication needs. Not everybody in a meeting, if you've got a meeting to run, not everybody wants to listen to people, and not everybody wants to sit watching a PowerPoint all night. So you have to balance each of that out. Some people don't want to listen. Some people don't want to stare at a PowerPoint. They just want to talk. You have to include all of them. The people that can only watch a PowerPoint, we've got to engage them. We've got to talk to them. We've got to let them have an opinion. The people that just want to be talked to for an hour and not say anything and then leave the meeting and say, well, that's it. I've done what I needed to do. We have to include them. And then the other people that don't want to listen, they don't want to stare at a PowerPoint, they just want to talk. We have to give them an opportunity to talk, and we have to also say, all right, we need to move on now. Sorry, we're going to get home. So implementing strategies. In the end, like I'm saying this, but in the end, this is the only role play where you have to facilitate a meeting. Being an AOD worker is not about facilitating meetings. Like, you're almost going into boss person level to be facilitating meetings all the time. So don't stress too much on this module, this unit. Everybody's communicated in workplaces before, in places that you've been in and volunteered in. And because of that, you know most of the ways that people work. So don't stress about it. It's more the next module is almost more important, but it's not more important because I'm recording, so I can't say it's more important. This here is important. Facilitate the resolution of any conflict between participants as they arise. Conflict resolution is a massive part of what you're doing. It happens in other role plays. It happens in other assessments, how you facilitate problems and friction. It's something you need to learn, even practice, because you might be facilitating conflict resolution with domestic family violence clients, somebody that's had a lot of medication, not substance, somebody that's had a lot of medication and can't think straight and is not really listening to what you're saying, or somebody that's had a lot of the substance and can't understand what you're saying and is a bit elevated or highly emotional. That's where all the conflict resolution has to come in. So back to this, taking minutes. So you've got the agenda, you're following the agenda as it's saying, point by point, letting everybody have the say that needs to. but then somebody else is going to be taking minutes about what's said. Just in case anybody says something inappropriate and it needs to be followed up afterwards, or you've tabled the agenda minutes, you've tabled the agenda point, and then there's some really good conversation all about it, and somebody needs to be taking all that conversation down and writing down what people have said so that the points do get followed up. So after the agenda, we take minutes, and some people aren't, when we're not looking at these slides, some people aren't sure, what does the agenda come after the meeting? Do you send out the agenda after the meeting? Or do the minutes come before the meeting? No, the agenda comes before the meeting and that gets sent out to everybody. But then after the meeting happens, the minutes then go out. Usually, there's a lot of meetings where nobody gets the minutes afterwards, and you just get the minutes when you go to the next meeting. And you get handed a sheet of paper that says, this is what was said in last week's meeting. So the minute are recording the meetings in accordance with the organisation requirements. So does it go on the notice board? Does it go in an email? Usually there's a designated minute taker for each meeting, and then evaluate the meeting process. That's all of you guys giving just in your feedback, and that's you evaluating your own meeting. Identify lessons learned and opportunities for improvement. That could be, it's not really going to be as much in your assessments. Just figure out which people have good ideas for your own perspective, which people have good ideas, which people have too many ideas, which people don't speak, which room was useful. Should we do this in this room again? Which room had uncomfortable chairs? Which room wasn't big enough? Was there a computer in the room that didn't work? Was there no flip chart there? Were there no pens? So all of these logistical things, they all need to be sorted out after the meeting. So obviously, again, these are just random points. Setting up a nice meeting, an engaging meeting. In the same way that meetings are all done according to each organisation, the way they want it, we've got digital media like SMS, Instagram, social media, all are all done in a certain way. So if you want to send an email or a text message or a social media message from your company, you have to do it in a certain way. You won't be allowed to just jump onto their social media or send an email without it being in a certain process. Quite often, the advertising or the human relations will be saying, you can't write that, and you have to write it like this. It has to be maybe professional, no slang, no swearing, not conversational, maybe just bullet pointed, things like that. So in digital media, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. I'm just going to skip through these just to get to the end of it, because as well as meetings and digital media, then there's also written media and anything. It's basically anything that represents the company. You have to do it in a certain way, otherwise you're going to misrepresent the company. We might think it sounds better like this if I write it like this, but then the company is going to say, no, we want it written like this. We might think that the way the company is writing it is too formal, and we want to be more sociable in our correspondence, in our letters to them, whether that's emails, posters, written work, anything like that. We want to be more like free and just calmer, but the company might be saying, no, we want it done like this. This is stopping you getting disciplined or written warning or anything in a company when you're doing it not like they want it done. So written communication as well. The principles of layout should be followed as per the software of your computer. Like even down to when you write in a letter, does your company want you to put the client's address at the right hand at the top or the left hand at the top? How do they want it done? And it gets as detailed as that. And this is just any business, any company is going to want this done. Writing a business letter, I'm not going to go into this in detail because it's in the recording that you get. A lot of the emails, like a business letter, a business email is a business letter. And in most of your assessments, you have to write an email to your boss or to a client or to another organization. And this is the way it usually tells you these points, but this is the way it's wanting to be done. A summary of the letter, a brief background of the reasons for the letter, and then the facts. So whether you're talking about a client, whether you're talking to your boss, whether you're talking to another agency, this is the way it's expected to be laid out. Just missed that. I didn't look at that long enough. Glenn, the meeting has been implemented because of the claims. Yeah, basically, that's the kind of thing that we're putting in. Any required action as well. The first sentence describes the point of the letter so that you know whether you are included in the letter. Sometimes we get letters from our company and then we read it all and think, this had nothing to do with me. I didn't need to get this letter. I didn't even need to read the letter. So the first sentence should be like an invitation that you are involved in this letter or you're not. So quite often it'll be to all the members of the Safety and Respect Committee. Okay, so I'm not a member of the Safety and Respect Committee. I don't need this letter. I don't know why I've got it. But I am a member of that committee, so I need to read this. Use simple words, short sentences. A written report. Again, this is almost your case study files. So you get to read a lot of case studies and a lot of case files that you get in assessments, but it's going to be expected that you write them as well for different clients. So written reports should follow the policies and procedures of your organization. Clear, accurate, and objective means we're not going to be in a case file, in a case note, we're not going to be talking about the way we feel about something. It's just facts. Sometimes it's okay even to write just bullet points about started with this is what we talked about. And might be quite a few bullet points, but quite often writing bullet points takes the emotion out of it and just helps us keep to facts. Use the structure already suggested for a business letter. Summary, background, facts, required action. And then a summary at the end. This has got nothing to do with what we're wanting to talk about, but it is important to the module. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay, the assessment, it's nearly 10 past. Are we doing an assessment tonight? Leah and Em were the first people to say, yes, let's do one.
Yeah.
Are we?
Yeah,
all right. Have we got 5 people? If not everybody wants to do the assessment, that's fine. If people want to leave once the assessment is going on, that's fine. If you want to hang around, you can. But that means we need 5 people. Justin, what's up?
I just don't know for the people who haven't done this case study how we're going to be much help to.
That's fine.
So will we be? Do we get
Right.
like next week?
Hold on. Go for it, Justin. Yeah.
Oh, next week will we have an opportunity to actually properly do these role plays? Because then, I'll just log off now if that's the case, and I'll start this thing so it's all prepped for next week. Because, yeah, like I said, I've missed the last.
Next week we start the next module.
Hold on, Glenn. So yeah, what I haven't mentioned, it's been a few weeks since I was here, so I can't remember what the last module was. but you've done this module for 3 weeks. Role plays do start stacking up. With us getting a new module next week that's nothing to do with this module. I'll say now, let's do any role play from this module or the last one at the beginning of next week, because once we start this next module, it's hard to blend everything like AOD stuff and communication stuff and things that aren't linked or mixed. So yes, we could probably get something done at the beginning. If people are ready to jump straight into it next week, fine.
I think it would be a good idea to obviously be able to do like ones like these where it's 5 people, because I can't really see that working outside of the class time. Like, like everyone's in different states.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to work outside class time because that's the way it gets done. If you don't get it done in class, then you have to be emailing each other and saying, okay, when's the best time to do it? With an assessor-led one, then we'll just work to you guys, and we're doing them all the time. And whether it's you've booked to be ready at 9 o'clock your time, or you booked to be ready at 6 p.m. your time on a different day. It might not be with me. It might be with somebody else that's only ready in the time that you are, and I might be teaching because I've done another class. It's things like that. So with this one especially, there's literally only 2 in your course where it's a massive group one where there's like 5 people that need to get involved in the assessment. So this one and another one. So if we don't get it done at the beginning of next week, it's going to be, we'll be chasing it up another time. I'll give you a hand to try and put it together, but still, we're going to be looking at another role play next week, I'm guessing. Danita, what were you going to say?
Have you got, because I've already been assessed on this, have you got the letter that, sorry, have you got the letter that was sent to Justin from Llewellyn, which will explain what this actual meeting is about? And if you can read that out to them in class. Now, I can't access that anymore because I've already been marked off on this.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's another bit in it, which the only bit that I could get is to help people out. So one of the things that was sent in through this is today at 10 a.m. you were meeting with a counselling client named Cherie, age 17. When you were talking to Cherie, you noticed a bruise on her left forearm just below her elbow. You asked about it. She said, I didn't want to go to the doctor's appointment to renew my antidepressant script because I don't like being asked so many questions about how I'm feeling. I was telling the support worker that drives me on the free transport services that I didn't want to get in the car. And they said we were running late and just shoved me into the car. Cherie began crying while telling the story. She was physically distressed and her hands were shaking. You asked Cherie who shoved her. She said it was Bill. They asked why she didn't tell anyone, and she said that she did tell one of the youth workers named Bella, but just laughed it off and said, you're crazy, Bill is such a lovely guy, he wouldn't do that. So that's the part.
It's the foundation for it.
Yeah.
I'll hunt that out so everybody can see it. I think it's probably time for a break. It's a bit late, but it's probably a good opportunity to have one. Jaden, what were you wanting to say?
Yeah, this will be quick, mate.
Yeah.
So with the role plays, so that there needs to be Justin and 4 other people. So if you're one of those 4 other people, is that still classed as your assessment done, or do you still have to be Justin?
No, you still have to be Justin.
With the weight tonight, if we get through one role play, only one student will be marked tonight.
That's correct. Yes.
So, and then you're saying that we can email Hayden and organize to do it again. Do we just do that? And we can just find people from from the class. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a WhatsApp group, or I'm not sure if anyone's got anything like that, or because obviously, like I said to you before, the last thing I want to do is have like all these role plays stacked up and all these other modules coming through.
Yeah, totally. Definitely.
I have just found the letter from Llewellyn. It says, "Dear Justin, thank you for working with integrity and compassion last week to support Cherie through her difficult situation. Following this incident, I'm concerned about the risk to our clients, their families, our staff, and the wider community. If there is a lack of awareness among any of our staff or volunteers about our legal and ethical obligations in terms of providing a space free from abuse. Our number one priority as an organisation now is to ensure that all of our staff and volunteers have completed up-to-date information about our legal and ethical obligations in this area. I believe this message would be most powerful coming from team members rather than management. To that end, I would like you to be responsible convening a new work team here at First Access, namely the Safety and Respect team. This team will include support workers, our on-site counsellor, and our nurse. The responsibility of this team are as follows: educate the entire staff of First Access about their responsibilities in providing a safe and respectful facility free from physical, verbal, emotional, and sexual abuse. Ensure every staff member clearly understands their responsibilities in reporting such abuse. Train staff in communication strategies so that they will respond in ways that will build trust, openness, and rapport if the client reports abuse. Ensure staff are fully aware of the main messages of the incident, injury, trauma, and illness policy and procedure. Could you please take the following steps to enact this plan? And then it says, look at the First Access staff directory, select a team member. So this was the case study, so you have to select the team member and do the case study on that. So that's what this role play is about the actual meeting of setting up the new team. Doesn't have any, it started because of the incident, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with the incident.
Yeah, I managed to find that. That's the assessment 2 of 4. That's the case study, and that is in part C where you write the email. So that's a bit of background. Can I just ask, please don't write mobile numbers in the chat. Just like this is getting recorded, it might go out onto YouTube. I'm going to get them to edit it and take a couple of minutes out just here. But sometimes it flashes up on my screen, so it's all right, all good. And people might see it, so I'll make sure we get that edited so your mobile number's not going out. Let's have a 10-minute break. We'll go to 1:30, and then we'll come back and see what we're doing.